stadium, Kathy.
Yes, I think we met.
Yeah.
It's good to see you again.
Nice to see you.
So, good.
Would you like some water, please? If it's not too much trouble. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Very much, I appreciate that. Oh, do I come now or how does this work?
Now or later.
Okay.
Okay, I guess we're going on.
Oh, very cool. You stream it, that's right.
Yeah. We have students all over the world, really, and we get feedback. You know, there's different kinds of things. Some people want healing. Some people want to learn about drumming.
Right.
You know, and then some people don't want to learn. They just want to groove.
Right.
So house music is like that, right? It's just going to set up a groove, and it's just going to go for a really long time.
Right.
And then everybody just goes to that zone, because there's different kind of trances. And somebody described it to me as house, all the way back to traditional rave, all the way back to when that thing was starting, whatever that was. They were saying they were trying to break the trance of technology, of conventional technology. You know, it was everybody was enchanted, hypnotized by the culture, technology and the culture. So by going to those extreme heavy pounding grooves, they were trying to break free of the trance of the culture, the mainstream culture,
Right.
the programming. So it's like, Matrix.
Yeah, no, seriously. Yeah.
So, and my heart went out because that's like trying to fix your car while you're driving it. In order to free yourself from that kind of entrancement, you got to go somewhere else. So people instinctively are coming back to the hand drum, organic analog signal, which is giving them some sort of rhythmic nutrition.
How much is it?
Good. So that's a little tall drum, sort of tall. So if you need more pillows to get up higher, yeah.
Yeah, it's not, it's henna.
Oh.
It's all dry, but
So pretty.
Wow.
I've never gotten it before, so I was at the boardwalk wandering, so I could come to this later. And
So did that take a long time to paint on there?
oh my gosh, it took him like 6 minutes. I swear, he was so fast. I was really surprised it took him no time. But
So the science of beats per minute, it's like 120 beats a minute is like kind of where most of the recording programs like Pro Tools, if you turn on the metronome without any presets, it goes to either 120 beats, somewhere around there. And that's like double 60 beats a minute. 60 beats a minute is about where the heart goes when it's just in a normal place. Yeah, and it's like, it'll vary a little bit,
that's nuts.
within 5 beats per minute, unless you're an athlete and you really push it. But so 120 beats a minute sends a signal into the system, speed up, And so it's like when we do that, all the survival stuff kicks in. Adrenaline, muscle tension, peripheral vision, comes down to a narrow thing because of the ancient genetic programming, which evolved, I think, just out of living in the wild environment. Humans had to wake up and go to sleep, always listening. Survival. So this belief system developed where it made assumptions, which were if the tempo in the environment speeds up, it's a good bet that there's going to be danger.
Why do you think they do that for house music? Or like, is there a purpose, you think?
There's half a purpose because they're not totally aware of all this research about rhythm. So they're instinctively feeling they need to break from the pulse. And the only thing at their disposal is a drum machine and, you know, electronic music because they're not really musicians. And to learn about this takes a lifetime. You know, it's like unless you are in a culture that understood it, you know. And so, and there's really no culture with the technological language to explain this except us. That's why I tell people, healing, therapeutic, meditation, drumming, it's not African. It's not Afro-Cuban. It's not even any culture in the world. What it is what's evolving here in the United States. And I'm not waving the flag. It's just, I've seen it, you know. It's like, because of the mix of culture. And that is a direct result of the great music that has blended in this culture. Like, for instance, this is a real slow 4-beat. You can count as a 4 or a 2, right? Now, if you were playing rhythm guitar over this, could you? You play rhythm guitar, piano? What's your instrument?
I didn't grow up learning an instrument. I just learned them now.
Oh, okay. So,
like you said, I can program it, but
right,
play it is
right.
different.
Okay, yeah. Well, even if you are programming it, this is below 60 beats a minute. This is down to like 42 beats a minute. I mean, I grew up on a metronome, so I kind of like remember instinctively, you know. But the trick is that it's, of course, steady. Now, if you're laying down tracks over a drum machine, you're going to set up a click track maybe, which is going to fill in all the spaces. Now, in traditional music, those spaces would be left open and it would be flexible. And people would speed up and slow down a little bit and miss it a little bit, sometimes nail it right on. So that was the magic of percussion and rhythm in writing a song. Created drama, measure to measure, unpredictable drama. You know, was the rhythm section going to hold together? You know, was the lead singer going to lose or be right on it? Timing, heart, you know, performance. Anyway, so that got kind of like forgotten when computers came along and people says, oh, I can do this on a computer, you know. And I saw this evolve in the 70s because reggae was this beautiful jazz, original like Bob Marley and the Wailers stuff. And to be able to play that slow and still be in a great groove, those drummers, those rhythm sections were so good. And they could play anything, but they chose to play, you know, that reggae stuff. And so it was like very educational rhythmically. And Charlie Watts, the drummer for the Stones, talked about this. He said he had to unlearn all of his drum fills in order to play reggae. He had to turn them around and play them inside out. So the conventional rhythmic fills that one would hear on it, you know what I'm saying? That's a triplet, right? Now they're going to mess with it. So it tricks you, you know, pulls you in. See that, and that what that did is like it threw you right off the downbeat, right? And that's what reggae did. It pulled the downbeat, the one, made it invisible, and everybody fall into that big hole and dance. So the old school reggae before the drum machine, right? Then when the drum machine kicked in, it all died because it just, you know, you put a little echo on it, and you do that real simple pattern, and it goes forever, and everybody smokes a bunch of ganja, and the groove goes for like a half hour, and it doesn't go anywhere, but it was good. It was still nice, and people could groove to it. Out of that, actually, in this culture, tempos start kicking up, turn up the speed on the drum machine, and you end up with rave, in house, and it totally acid jazz, all that stuff was so. But when you go back and look at the original rhythm structures, they're still valid. Like, for instance, the triplet. Now, when you play a triplet, right? The triplet is this mystical rhythm structure. Every culture uses it for deep trance, ceremony, and ritual. The blues. But it's based on interesting brain hemisphere triggering back and forth. Because when you play triplet, both hands get an accent back and forth. Now this is pretty brisk to play a triplet, right? You gotta be kind of confident. But it's a nice groove, right? So now when you play rhythm guitar, say over something like this, it'll fall into that early old school Bob Marley thing in a second. Because you're playing chanka, 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 chanka. So that's what it was originally called. Before it became reggae, it was chanka, chanka. Because that was the sound that Marley had figured out how to get on the old tape delay, the Echoplexes, the original tape Echoplex reverb delay. And he tuned it, you can speed it up and slow it down. It was all manual, it was all analog, no digital. So you had to feel a human touch. And time to make the human touch visible, audible. Because when you go in and you program, hi, you made it. Okay, now we're going to do a big ending. Okay, got to have a big ending, right? Did this. One more. Oh, yeah, they got to clap. I learned that from Chuck Berry. He says, you got to give them a cue where to clap. Otherwise, they're not going to clap. You're back home. Okay, good for you, man.
Garvin.
You're all over the world.
Katie's Garvin.
I don't know. He's good there. He'll pull in. So now that groove was kind of like a ballad tempo, like in the 50s. That's how calypso and reggae sort of evolved out of calypso and folk music, as well as rhythm and blues. So then the others, that's one solid, huge rhythm structure in the universe. And there's only one other one. There's only two rhythm structures in the whole universe. And if you understand these two, it's like Socrates said, you could have the world spinning on the palm of your hand. Because you understand how everybody runs. It's their basic operating system of the human experience. So, and it's based off the triplet. Now tilt your drum so the bottom goes back under the chair. I know it's tempting to play it straight up.
Thank you so much.
See, that's a pretty tall drum. Good to see you. See, you were all over. Where were you this time?
Amsterdam, France, and Italy,
And they're not doing this over there. Huh?
No, there wasn't.
See? Point.
Not much dance or drum. I'm sure there must be some
Somewhere. There got to be somewhere. Because it's a human thing. So then we're going to slide into the other rhythm structure, right? Which is based off that triplet. So just go back and forth like this. Go in the middle of the drum. Yeah. Now, drum machines have a real problem with this rhythm. they haven't really figured it out so it's intuitive. There's buttons to hit to sort of get this, but it's not easy. They're going to swing. Some of them have a swing button now because it was too rigid. So what I'm doing now is I'm showing your ear where the downbeat is. Right? So each hand goes separate. Downbeat, downbeat. Right? And that's one of the reasons that it's a hugely powerful groove. Because, first of all, it creates this trance in the drummer. Because both front hemispheres of the brain go into like parallel processing. It's one of the few times. They call this mirrored hand activity, creating brain balancing. So that's the big deal now. So as you go into that balanced state, you become extremely open. The unconscious opens up. So that's one reason I think it's such a powerful trance rhythm, because the drummer is experiencing the transcendent state as well as generating one. So then, and this is a survival groove from all over, Ireland, Africa, everywhere, American Indian, Far East. Everybody uses this groove. So originally in Africa, it was the foundation for the rumba, African rumba. So all of the Yoruba sacred drumming rhythms come off of this. So it's very versatile. You can go, this is a slow, relatively slow, a blues, a Delta blues tempo. You know, this would be Robert Johnson, really back in the pocket. Hellhounds on my trail. And the downbeat's real strong. You know, that's where they stomp their foot on the stage. And so you got to remember where that is, because that's New Orleans, that's Mississippi Delta, and that's a big reason that American music is so influential in the world, because of what it did. It survived that environment by using rhythms, survival rhythms. So this one, that's why they call this the blues, but in Africa it's not the blues. In Ireland it's not the blues. It's a jig. Yeah. In Africa, it's a dance. It's a war rhythm, but it can also be a dancing rhythm. Oh, is it? Now, when you speed this up, then it picks up energy. Now here we start to get up to the Jim Croce tempos. Because a little more. There, right there. Like lock in. Now you start to recognize the tempos for songwriting. And you'll find this groove. You can find this groove with a programming if you know what it is. Hit songs have been written at this tempo with this rhythm. This is a platinum rhythm. That's all I show people. Gold and platinum rhythms, hit song rhythms. If you know how to use them, they'll be a hit song. So now this is sort of a mellow, still mellow, right? Now, if we want to kick it up, go to the arena rock, the classic rock, blues, you know. Now you may have to take some notes out that too many notes get in the way. But now we're up to the blues shuffle. Yeah, good. The Led Zeppelin, the Doors, Canned Heat, all the classic rock stuff. What am I thinking? Oh yeah, Canned Heat. We don't need to go there. Now, one more level. Now, at this tempo, we're hitting the wall, right? This is the speed of light. Good. But lock in. Don't panic and continue to speed up. You hurt That's it. But now you hear the triplet. So at the end of the phrase, and then back into the. So it bounces. You feel the bounce. And so that's your phrase, right? This is your vocal. 1, 2, 3, 4 measures, 5 measures, 6, 7, 8. So that's your 8-bar blues shuffle. They got presets for this stuff now. You're getting it. This is hard. You're getting it. Now, okay, in order to get it, back off. Slow it down. Now, this is really important because what was just happening is you were maxing out the process. Slow it down a little bit more. There you go. Yeah. Now, you're learning it because you can play it. And when you're working on a rhythm, that's kind of a good approach. Slow it down. And also, the magic of the groove then opens up. And this will happen on a drum machine too. You get so intent on putting together a drum part, it starts to get really anxious and intense. So what you want to do then, after you think you've got it, the pattern, slow it down. Don't speed it up. Slow it down just a little bit. And then when you write your song over it, you'll be totally relaxed. And the song will have that authority, authenticity. See what happens now? We're back in it. Now this groove feels good, right? And you're not playing much at all. And I tell people, play lazy. You know, when you play lazy, the groove comes out. Okay, now we're going to do the invocation in a shuffle, which normally we don't do. Normally we do it straight up forward. But, well, first of all, let's end this. Okay, here it comes. End it. Okay, last one. Oh, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to see anything? No?
Oh, we were just looking at some of the turquoise rings.
Oh, sure. I'll pull them out of the window.
Yeah, don't be shy. We do this every Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock.
That's why we came in.
Good, 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 good. Is that a border collie?
Australian Shepherd.
Oh, Australian Shepherd, okay.
Snip, snip.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Nice dog. Happy dog. Yeah.
Thank you.
So now the
Thank you. Have a good day.
the circuits are cooling because that was an intense groove. But you understand it. You won't remember it, but you understand it. And eventually you'll accidentally find it again. Like if you're programming or playing something, it's, oh, there's that groove. Because this is one of those eternal grooves. Humans have used that groove for at least 400,000 years. You know, it's aboriginal. It's, you know, if there was recordings of cavemen, they would be playing that groove. And cave women.
It's interesting to think about because when I'm thinking about it, I'm trying to figure out how it would look like on a grid. You know what I mean? Like, it's interesting because it's kind of like a triplet almost, and then just a downbeat.
It's a triplet with, and the downbeat is at the beginning note of each triplet, or
Okay,
every 2 triplets. So if you see grid, that's the way Pro Tools or any of them would put it out. That's not manuscript paper. See, like on manuscript paper, it's totally non-intuitive, and that's because like you could write out the notes in a short measure or a long measure, and yet they would all be the same value. That doesn't make sense now. Measure always the same length of time, right? But when you write it out, sometimes you got to get a bunch of notes in there, so the measure's got to be longer. When you look at it intellectually, you knew that your tempo was still the same, but all those notes had to be played in between that downbeat and the next downbeat. And to write it all in there, the measure's going to, you know, and the next measure's like this big, and then, you know, it's like, but they're the same length of time. So it was very paradoxical to read manuscript music. So when you're saying put it on a grid, you know, there the computer guy said, okay, we gotta redesign music, and that's what happened.
Sorry, yeah, sorry.
And as a result, though, everything's locked in. So, in order to break off of the being locked in, you gotta find the syncopation, the upbeats, because they got the down. They own the downbeat. They nailed it. This is one. You know, everything's keyed off of that. So how are you gonna make it interesting? Because if that's the way you go at it, it's like very limited options. So now we'll do the invocation. So there's different, like this note. That's a syncopated note. Now slow it down again. Slow it down. Okay, now what's happening is your ear is assuming that it's hitting that note. And you know who's hitting that note? It's your left hand. No, you were right. Keep playing that way. There you go. Now you got it. Now you got it. So, boom, boom.
Okay.
1D and a 2E and a 1D and a 2E. Two bit of pow, two down. But not the downbeat right after it. Okay, now this is how the brain tries to parse things out, and it doesn't compute. So you got to go to the intuitive. Now I'll show you. We're going to sneak up on that. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, low note in the middle. Okay. Now speed it up. Now take off the last note. Take it off. That's the note. See, now we're off the downbeat. But you got to trick the mind. So now you're hearing the upbeat, right? So that's one way to get up off the downbeat. Now we're at the golden tempo. This golden tempo means that you can go straight 16th notes or swing it into a triplet either way. It was the secret of early rock and roll. You can go any way with it. You go Richard, Good Golly Miss Molly, Jerry Lee Lewis, Elvis, Carl Perkins, all those guys hit it, and this was the tempo that made Memphis rich. The Big Bopper, Buddy Holly. Bobby Soxers, you know, this is dancing around the jukebox. Hello, Peggy Sue. You know I love you. My Peggy Sue. I love you, gal. Want you, Peggy Sue. So, it's an eternal groove. Humans have always used this groove. It's a feel-good groove. Protection surrounds. Protection surrounds. Protection surrounds. Protection surrounds. Sacred abound. Sacred one. Oh, ho, yay.
Good, Katie.
Okay.
Good. Oh, you're good.
Van Morrison loved that group. The Fabulous Mike for a Noon Dance. You know, it's a classic jazz swing. And you find that groove on whatever instrument you're working on. It's already paved. That road is already ready to drive on. You know, it's a solid groove that has served many people well. You'll hear it in Irish folk songs. It's a skipping, you know. And then on the bodhrán is where you hit the upbeats, you know, when you're playing the bodhrán, is those skipping notes, when you catch the upbeat off the downbeat, because you're hitting on a downbeat, but then when you catch it coming up, that's that lilt. And that's the interesting note that translates from culture to culture. In Afro-Cuban, that's the second note of the clave. Those three notes have become like de rigueur for everything that's Latin, you know, pretty much. For a long time. It's changed now, but. And then, so this is the basic old school Havana, like, you know, just those three notes. And it's really hard to stay way back, right? Because you got to speed up. The further north you live, the more you're going to speed up. There it is. You got to let it go. Because it's too hot. You do this in Havana, you can't get too excited. It's just too hot. So, So this is the foundation again for all that's the kunga, the rumba, the mambo, these three notes. So from a songwriter's point of view, you don't have to play all the sophisticated percussion parts. If you were to learn how to do it, it'd take your lifetime. But if you're writing and you want to imply anything Latin, this feel, these three notes, and leave the rest open, you know, because it'll, like for instance, the traditional clave is the two notes. But if you lock into that, you're locked in. It's the only thing you can hear is old school salsa, you know. So just by playing the three notes, you know, suddenly it's funk. So you see how it translates, you know. It all goes back to New Orleans. In New Orleans, this is original second line, you know, which was the foundation for Old Man Rhythm got me in my blues. Don't singing the blues. Be my guest, you got nothing to lose. Won't you let me take you on a sea cruise? Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, baby. Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, baby. Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, baby. Won't you let me take you on a sea cruise? And of course, Bo Diddley, you know, made a lot of money. Bo Diddley, where you been? Down the road and back again. Bo Diddley, have you heard? Papa gonna buy you a mockingbird. Hey, Bo Diddley.
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 Hey, Bo Diddley. Hey.
Hey, if that mockingbird don't sing, Papa gonna buy you a diamond ring. And if that diamond ring don't shine, Papa gonna take it to a private eye. Then hey, Bo Diddley, 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 hey, Bo Diddley. Begin. So there you see that the big ending is actually the Bo Diddley beat. And pretty much everybody can intuitively, instinctively sort of get to that. In 4. If you're in 6, it's different. It's actually much more esoteric and much more mysterious. Because if you play the clave in a 6, it changes the complexion of the groove entirely. And that's like jazz, you know. And when you start to feel those grooves, then you're breaking outside of just the default 4/4. But you got a good ear. You can hear stuff. You're picking it up. So it's like you can't pull. It's not a preset. It's
No need
what?
to apologize.
No, I was
Katie,
just saying I'm
you're
sorry
fine.
for throwing you guys off.
Oh.
Well, I thought
No.
it sounded
No, you're not.
Not
No,
at
you're
all.
not. No. It's see
Not
the
at
reason
all.
these grooves work is that pretty much everybody can play them, sort of.
Yeah.
At least get on the downbeat.
No, you gotta find your own way. We're finding our own way.
Right.
No,
Right.
Don't worry about throwing us off.
Yeah. So there's no wrong notes when you approach it from here,
Don't worry.
which was more tribal for me because I was classically trained. Right. But from a songwriter composer's point of view, if you understand the simple building blocks, like the triplet and the 4/4 and the 6, and the waltz, and the shuffle, and the reggae, you can write a lot of hit songs, and they don't have to be good songs. You know? It's just get them out there.
Well, I take a lot of this, like, I think the goal, at least for me, is to be able to add, like, a more human touch to this very, like, kind of robotic. Because I think there's something, too, evoking emotion. And in music, I mean, it's really powerful, obviously.
What I might suggest is, like, when you set up your click track or your basic drum part, leave a lot of room. Hit the downbeat, and maybe one or two other notes. Don't go bass, snare, bass, snare.
Right.
That's a kiss of death.
I try to just, you can manually,
Right.
So I have no
Sure.
idea what I'm actually doing.
Just start with the downbeat, and then, because the downbeat's going to be a low tone of some sort. And then just put a little hi-hat chick somewhere. And break the rules. Don't put in a snare, And suddenly, the groove starts to move. And you can mess with your bass lines, because if you build up from rhythm, you can't really go wrong. Duke Ellington used to talk about this. You section up from the bottom. The arrangement reveals itself. The horn parts, everything reveal themselves if the foundation in the rhythm section is working. That's why they could sit and write out the charts, the night before a big band concert, say at Carnegie Hall. They would just be writing out the charts all night long. The band had never rehearsed it. And boom, they hand out the charts and it swings because the rhythm sections knows where to go with it. And everybody's great readers, great players, boom, they read the parts because they're all feeling it and it's working. Count Basie, same way. It's like that magic, and the audience gets it. They realize that they're flying on the seat of their pants, and it's like every note could be there, could not be there. So it's like creates incredible drama in the performance and masterful performing. But that's when it's alive for the player, when there's chances, when there's room for possible, and I call that becoming the fearless improviser. Where you throw it out, you're not afraid. No matter who's listening, doesn't matter. Because you're coming from an appropriate place. And so whatever you do is going to work. And if somebody doesn't like it, well, you can just use the old jazz musician action. That wasn't wrong, man. You just didn't dig it. That's not my problem. That's yours. So when we're doing that, where was I going to go? Anyway, I just want to settle in here. This is like riding a groove at this tempo and starting to feel the rhythmic possibilities. And again, this accent note, that note, boom, pow, it's going to change. It's going to change its nuance. So if you have enough room in your basic rhythm structure and throw that accent in there, then you start to realize that there's all this other rhythm on top layered that the computer's not letting you get to. And that is the problem with our brain, not the computer. Because it's like the computer's just an imitation of the way we think. So for a drummer to be able to break out, but don't push, you gotta be late. There it is. Actually, this is John Bonham. John Bonham. Boom, 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 boom. But don't push. Yeah, there it is. would be traditional old school Havana, you know, like the puffy sleeves and the whole thing. But that evolved spontaneously out of, you know, the groove that we started with, just a downbeat, and then that was relaxed enough to be able to squeeze in that extended triplet, the double triplet, at a very slow tempo. If we were to be pushing it, it would be hard to play that. So there's an example of nudging a groove through the flexibility without the drum machine, where the drummers and the musicians can fill that space. And that triplet is gonna be snaky. It's not gonna be the same every time. And that's, you know, that's great music, you know, when it's always fresh. So, you know, if you do the drum machine, you know, get the downbeat, and then immediately think outside the rhythm structure that's trying to get you to go to with that concept of a triplet outside the rhythm structure. And it'll be hard to program in the machine because it doesn't want to go there. You know? And it's got to swing, you know, quantize, all these silly stuff. When they get that groove, then it'll be something. Yeah. And they almost get it, but it's like marching. It's still rigid. And that's the nature of digital music. And that's the neurosis that pretty much everyone is trying to deal with now, is the digital neurosis coming off of the drum machine. Because it has perpetuated insanity. And you know, you got to remember that, you know, before your generation, people were born into the world without a drum machine. Right. And so that's a different consciousness, I've come to suspect. You know, it's like, this is different. These are different kinds of human beings. But rhythm and music's always based off the tempos of the current culture. Like World War II, the big band stuff, trains and airplanes. Those were the dominant technological grooves. So it's like the Chattanooga Choo Choo. I mean, all these songs were based off of the technology. And Link Wray, one of the greasiest guitar players in the world, the original rockabilly maniac. I knew his bass player. He would talk about, you know, being on the road, touring, and listening to the train tracks. And that was his first hit, off that rhythm. So that's raunchy. Look up Link Wray, and that's a triplet, you know. And it's like, so that tempo right there, that's rockabilly. It's a million different grooves, but it depends on what you've heard. If you were in Indonesia, it would be entirely something else, or Russia. Common groove in folk music in Russia, because it's a power groove. So you don't have to play all the notes. You just hear but when you put stuff over, you can imply that power groove. So this is where I always like to suggest that we change the national anthem to this song, right? Because everybody should know the words. Did we do this one before? Keep your eyes on the road and your hands upon the wheel. Keep your eyes on the road and your hands upon the wheel. Going to the roadhouse, gonna have a real good time. Let it roll, baby, roll. Fashion lady, give up your vows. Fashion lady, give up your vows. Save our city, save our city, save our city right now. Well, woke up this morning and I got myself a beer. Yeah, I woke up this morning and I got myself a beer. You know the future's uncertain and the end is always near. So let it roll, baby, roll. Let it roll, baby, roll. Let it roll, baby, roll. Let it roll all night long, all night long. Let it roll, baby, roll. Let it roll, baby, roll. Let it roll, baby, roll. Let it roll all night long.
Yay. Good job.
We went and saw Jim Morrison's grave in Paris.
Did you go?
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
What's it look like these days?
You know, it was the most visited grave in
Oh,
the place.
yeah,
And, a lot of people. They had barriers around,
Wow.
but people were still jumping over them and taking pictures, and it's
Yeah.
a little bit weird. But
That's appropriate.
yeah,
Summertime.
you know, and I thought
We've got
about it.
pictures. Our pictures are. We're standing there in front of it.
Yeah.
It's 30 years
No
ago.
barricades. No,
There's no
that's
barricade.
30
No, was
years
it 20
ago.
years?
Now
20
there's
years
No.
ago.
barricades and people go
15
over.
years ago?
Yeah,
15
closer
years
to
ago.
50.
Everything's 30 years ago.
Anyway,
The
So what did you do
barricades,
that? I'm sorry I interrupted you.
no, just
But but Perla says, did you stroll around? See
Oh
the,
yeah, it was,
So great.
yeah, it's an
the-
amazing.
yeah,
It's a
I mean,
great,
it's
great
much-
cemetery.
yeah.
macabre
Yeah.
idea, but it's
Did you
really-
see
So
Oscar
many
Wilde's
people.
big, huge,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
Isadora Duncan and
Yeah, I mean it's
Edith
amazing.
Piaf?
Different-
But I bet there are fresh roses on Edith
Chopin.
Piaf.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Every day.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I was gonna ask. Are there a bunch of flowers for him? Like
Yeah.
people
Oh
come-
yeah.
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 Our cigarettes, matches.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Lipstick.
Bubbles.
Yeah, lots of
Yeah.
lipstick on the stones. Yeah. Yeah, so it's become quite a cult center for
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Jimbo. Yeah.
So how long were you in Paris?
Oh, about 4 or 5 days.
Oh, how fun.
Total. Yeah.
Did you go to any museums or have time
Not
to do
really.
any
You
of
know, we not this time.
Should have told you to go down and see if Shakespeare and Sons was still there, across from Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Oh,
I
okay.
gave
We
him
were
my
right,
book.
We were right there.
Yeah,
then.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
we
That
didn't-
that English bookstore, you know,
Oh, okay.
old building, you know, goes up like 4 or 5 stories, and there's little alcoves and books everywhere, and
Yeah.
little sofas you can sit and read.
If you could fit.
Yeah, if you can get- it's too small for me, so.
Little tiny little cubby holes.
But I gave him the Way of the Drum book. You know,
Yeah.
I was gonna go back there. Now,
Italy.
Um,
Italy must have been fun.
Yeah, Italy was great. I mean, I loved the Italian people. The people were
Yeah,
so friendly.
really warm.
you didn't get fat. I thought you'd get fat.
Well, you know, all I would do is order the caprese salad, and then they'd be okay, and I'm like, that's it. You know, so
No
I ate a lot,
pasta.
you know, but I'm surprised because I ate a lot of gelato.
You
But
probably
you know, you walk
did a lot of
You
walking,
walk
yeah.
a lot,
Yeah, you gotta.
You
You,
just walk.
Yeah. And the weather was good.
It was good, but it was hot. It was
Oh, it was really hot.
hotter than here. Yeah, quite a bit.
Really?
It always seems to be hotter in July and August.
Yeah.
But it was.
The sky is the blue of the sky is
Yeah,
different.
the water's warmer, so
atmosphere.
at least you can go in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, not freeze.
Pretty.
So, but when you
Pretty
come out, it's
nice.
pretty warm.
Mm.
So how long were you there for
Nice.
total? Or
3.5 weeks.
Oh my gosh! Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, I mean, we usually go that long because you go so far away.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we can keep doing it, you know, especially with Heather. She was like bored, stiff, wants to be back with her friends. And
Oh.
so, like, for us, it was, you know, more interesting to go visit old castles and hillside towns. But for her, it was like, but she loved Amsterdam. She loved Paris, Amsterdam, of course.
Yeah.
She could have stayed there. And all
Yeah.
trip.
Yeah.
It was
It's
cold
a
in
lot of
Amsterdam.
walking.
It was freezing there.
Really?
Yeah. It was like,
Freezing.
I mean, we were wearing jackets, and then you get down south, and it's like, you know,
Hot.
90 to 100 degrees.
That's
Yeah,
great.
I wish I had brought warmer clothes.
Really?
It's a lot. Anyway,
You started off in Amsterdam, or
yeah.
no? Yeah.
Probably should have finished.
My grandma and your grandma sitting by the fire. My grandma said to your grandma, gonna set your flag on fire. Talking about hey now, Iko Ande, Giacomo Fino, Panande, Giacomo Finande. Hey now, Iko Ande, Giacomo Fino, Anande, Giacomo Finande. My fly boy and your fly boy sitting on the bayou. My fly boy said to your fly boy, gonna set your flag on fire. Talking about hey now, Iko Ande, Giacomo Fino, Anande, Giacomo Finande. Hey now, Iko Ande, Giacomo Fino, Anande, Giacomo Finande. See that girl all dressed in green, Iko Ande. She's not a girl, she's a loving machine, Giacomo Finande. Hey now, Iko Ande, Giacomo Fino, Anande, Giacomo Finande. Hey now, Iko Ande, Giacomo Fino, Anande, Giacomo Finande. See that girl all dressed in red, Iko Ande. You don't pay her, she'll kill you dead, Giacomo Finande. Hey now, Iko Ande, Giacomo Fino, Anande, Giacomo Finande. Hey now, Iko Ande, Giacomo Fino, Anande, Giacomo Finande. Hey now, Iko Ande, Giacomo Fino, Anande, Giacomo Finande. Iko. So there, if you're to look at composing off a groove like that, second line groove, you're going to have your downbeats, and then you're going to get adventurous with these upbeats in between the downbeats. And don't default to the snare on 2. You can put that in later if you need to put that in. But if you want to get a personality into the groove, you know, have your anchor note, so your overdubbing is going to be on the money, and then hit your accents. That's going to give you the personality of the song a lot of times. So on this particular rhythm, if you were looking at structure, this rhythm, okay, it just as a basic, that's going to be on the 1, but this note, this accent, that's that little exercise we did earlier where we took off the last note. Like for instance, if you program in the drum machine to do, say, a tom-tom part on 1D and a 2, yeah? Okay, and then you're going to take out the 2. So it's just going to go 1D and up, right? Suddenly it pops. Now, you want it to pop even more, take out the 2 middle notes between your 1 and the duh. So you got right? See how it opens it up?
Yeah.
Okay, now that's kind of classic, pretty much, acceptable, and people can anticipate that. But if you want to get snaky and like New Orleans second line, so see, it pops it right up. It's not a lot, right? So then you realize that minimal is going to make you move. Why? Because the body fills the space of the dancer. So that's simple stuff. You got your tambourine or the click, and 1E ended. You go there. That's your second line. When you get them all up like that. So what you're doing now, and then you can hear it. It's just cooking. So that's the magic. When you can set a groove like that, that just goes on its own. And so you don't even have to play it, and they still hear it. And that's that's great. That's a great section. Find that, and you can do it on a machine. You can do it. Because you got to think less than what the machine's trying to get you to do. It's going to say, just do the way I tell you to do it. And you can't abdicate your composer authority to computer. I remember having to deal with that early on because I was in the South, and so Dwayne Allman had brought my band up to Macon, Georgia, and we went into Otis Redding's recording studio. It was this funky 8-track studio, and they had a drum set in the corner on parquet, sections of wood, They said, "You play that kit." No, I got my Ludwig, I'm mismatched and everything. They said, no, you play that kit. Really? I said, yeah, you'll understand when you hear the playback. And they were right, it sounded good for the room. It wasn't what we were doing. So what happened was the band's music changed when you had machines recording it. And that was a big realization. And everybody's had to deal with that. That live music is entirely different than recorded music. Sometimes you can approximate. But that was the challenge back then, was to keep the soul in the music while the machines were running. And if you had masterful recording producers and Jerry Wexler, people like that. But when we got to Macon, the engineer just finished with, a bunch of Allman Brothers stuff, and he's just, wiped out. He got, "Hi, y'all got any speed?" It's like, oh, great. This is going to be a great session, I can tell. Welcome to the Deep South. So if you can trace these groups from Macon, Georgia, back to Mali, Africa. The tribes, kept, but not like Cuba. Cuba, everything was identified. They knew their lineage back to the drummers, in their villages in Africa. But in America, the generations, it got diluted, and of course it had to mix with the Appalachian. The Irish and the Scotch had a big influence on rhythm and blues, and people don't consider that, but it's true. So. The song structure, of a rhythm and blues song did not come from Africa. It comes from Ireland and Scotland and British folk songs and some French. French was a little different, but so it had to be that compromise. And so if you know you're pulling elements from these different, ethnic backgrounds, the music gets interesting. Sting was on about that. He said he'd plunder any musical style, to make it work for what he was doing. And that works if you got Copeland on the kit. So it was like, don't stand so close to me. Don't stand. So they kind of set the standard for tempo. Clean, sharp, metronome tempo. Because Copeland is just right on the money. And he was really hot, too. His improvisations were, his fills were just like impeccable. But the tempos were really driving because Sting was setting those tempos. But Copeland could maintain that energy level for an hour and a half, 2 hours. I mean, his stamina was amazing. So if you go in there, Police were doing that before the drum machine took over. They were right in that transitional era. So actually, Copeland was actually imitating a drum machine because he liked it and it was like, cool, So a lot of drummers fell into that. They imitated drum machine. I knew a bunch of drummers that, they had to. They thought that was what they had to do to compete because, they go into the studio and it's like what Jeff Young called flathead. There's a box sitting in the middle of the room that's the drummer. It's like, yeah, Jackson Browne stuff. Can we play without flathead? Because everybody needs the real groove to feel the authentic thing. But now music's entirely different. So it's like the reasons to write songs now is different. Like one music licensing publisher just came in. We were talking music business, and I said it's like tissue paper now. They'll download a song, listen to it a few times, and then throw it away. They'll use it to work out, whatever. So the cultural imperative's different. It's not there. There's no. You can't fight the war. You can't go there. So and really say anything. So it's all phony, right? It's all like artificial. It's entertainment. Everybody keeps smiling. We're having a good time here, right? Everything's good. And that's what the drum machine is doing. It's like reinforcing that, just driving it home. Whether it be rave, anything that's locked in, or pop, anything that's locked into that drum machine, you bind into the program. And it's like, okay, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. When I do all this stuff, I don't use drum machines. I tried on a couple. So here, where are we? Let's, this is really brisk, right?
Yeah.
So, it's too much to play, right? So just address the downbeat. Just support the downbeat, just that single note. See, the mind makes it more complicated than it really is. That's it. Right? That's really all it is. So, but the mind jumps to conclusions and adds more notes. So now as you relax this, just those notes, it starts to open up. And again, you can back off the knob just a little bit once you get the pattern in. And a pattern like this, like back it off a little more. There, see how it relaxes? And suddenly there's room for melody or whatever. Bass line even. But you gotta think lazy. If you want a good drum track, you gotta think like a drummer. And a good drummer is a lazy drummer. Just the opposite of what your boyfriend, the guy you tried to get to come in, he wouldn't come. Because he wants to play, he wants to shred, he wants to fill the sound, he wants to fill all empty space with drumming notes, preferably extremely loud. Am I wrong?
You're probably right. You're probably right.
So he's looking for speed. He's fast and furious. Because he's been programmed. Whiplash. So the antidote to whiplash is second funk, back in the pocket, true rhythm and blues. Now we're at Al Green tempos. You want to listen to a great drummer? Listen to Al Jackson, Al Green's drummer. So tasty. Now if you can cop his parts, you'd be smart to try that, because he doesn't play much at all, and you could translate it. So in love with you, whatever you want me to, it's alright with me, 'cause you make me feel brand new. When good or bad, happy or sad, let's stay together. Woo! So his music style was like James Brown, but mellow, steady pulse. The changes just moved around on top of that steady groove. Not a lot of changes in the groove when it goes to the verse, chorus, or the bridge. It's pretty much the same. Might be a couple of hits, but not much. See, that's a whole different writing style. Again, Memphis. So I don't think people are composing songs like that so much now. But if you can, it's very easy. It's very easy to write songs on top of a great groove. But the temptation, because of the technology, to make a groove that's threatening and aggressive. You know? Yeah, because that's, but it doesn't have to be that way. If you open up the groove and back it off again, okay, now we're coming down to about 64 beats a minute. And it starts to open up. And when that feeling of being open, when the listener experiences that, then you can write love songs. And I know people don't write love songs anymore, but whatever, positive energy. Trust, because trust is what happens. When you slow down, you start to trust the groove enough to be able to dance and move, or sing along, or whatever. So this is bossa nova, samba, but it's also folk rock. Okay. Now it dawned on me that you have a drum.
Yes.
That you can record your drum and then compose over that.
That is one of the things I want to, yeah.
So any kind of mic.
Yeah.
So and not to worry about tone or sound or correct notes.
Right.
What you're first of all doing when you do something like that is you're bringing together two different sensibilities. One is your sense of rhythm and one is your melody, your chordal structure sensibilities. And it's going to take a while for them to come together and meet in this new technology terrain of digital recording, because when you this will probably be something similar to what you sit down and you're going to try to do something to this. So first it's a meditation. Try to do this for 3 minutes and 40 seconds. All right? That's because that's the length of a single to this day. And once you get used to that, you'll be able to do 3 minutes and 40 seconds in your sleep. You'll know exactly what it is. You know? and then you'll know if you need to extend it, you can extend it, add verses and whatever for the old-fashioned album version. But the point is like here you're setting a pattern. No click track. Live dangerously. And what'll happen then, and don't listen to playback. Just make sure you got a good signal, and then go back right away either with a keyboard or whatever melody instrument you're going to compose with. You know, chords, guitar, whatever, bass, keyboard, bass on the keyboard. Start there. Don't listen to playback with just the drums. Don't even bother. Just assume that it's good, and then start again with the bass part. And then the learning process really gets intense because you're seeing from it. Now you're the bass player. And you're listening to the drummer. And you're listening to the drummer speed up and slow down. And lose authority or gain authority at any given moment in the groove. And so you got to allow for that. And then it becomes jazz. You're improvising with the drummer. And you start to think quickly. I was like, oh, I know he's going to do that or she's going to do that. And then go there. And so by the time you get a bass part that's relatively acceptable. It's got to have clams in it, not a big deal. The point is you go back and then you lay in a chord structure or a melody or a vocal or whatever, and then you start to see how rhythm affects each track. You know, you can push it, lay it back a little bit, You can slide the tracks if you get into there with that. But just in terms of playing, there's always the latency problem. You know, you play, the computer thinks about it for a microsecond and then records it, and it's like it's a little off. So when you're doing sophisticated percussion parts, they're not going to lock up. You know, that drove me nuts till I investigated what Pro Tools had done by totally destroying music, by making there a delay and saying, well, most people won't even notice, but there's a delay. When you overdub, there's a delay. It's called latency. And they have a few buttons there, it's like anti-latency. But even in the big studios, they still have a latency problem because it's inherent in the workstation structure. That's one big reason that music doesn't swing and feel great like it used to before the drum machine, because of that problem. There's some programs, computer recording systems, that claim not to have that problem, Logic, but I don't believe it, you know. So you got to allow for that. So then the feel becomes really important, and you start to feel it. So try that, and try without a click track, and then try it with a click track. Play your hand drum along to a click track, and don't be rigid with the click track. Don't go 1, 2, 3, 4 with a click track. Do this halftime, okay? Now what that gives you is a space in between to speed up, slow down, get lost. But what it does is it gives you the ability to feel a groove instead of, you know, obeying the click track. You got. So when you get to this point, when you can play a groove with just this as a click track, then you're into a really good solid groove. The body has room to move because you're not filling everything up, which is the total opposite of what most people compose a song. They got to fill everything up. Maybe on top, high frequencies, but underneath in the rhythm section, you got to leave room. I mean, those were the old rules. Of course, now, you know, everything's out the window. I'm sure, yeah, because songwriting is an art form, and you got to mix your palette, and it's been done, you know, so that you can learn, you know, and a good song will be a good song, you know, it will win out. So, but it's just magical the way it happens. People avoid talking about it, you know. Good songwriters, they never talk about how they write.
Right. Well, it's fascinating. It's like so much.
Yeah,
much more to it, you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, at least in doing this, I feel like it's like programming in somehow.
Yeah,
So
of course it is.
You
Yeah.
know, it's very cool.
Good for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
This is awesome. Yeah.
Great.
You guys do this every Sunday?
Sunday, Tuesdays, and Friday nights too.
And then this Thursday, we'll start at, what did I say, 6:30?
Well, then you're teaching, right?
Yeah, and then I come back in the street fair, the art walk. It's happening Thursday night.
Okay.
So you're totally welcome to come, you know, and
Do
jump.
you guys drum out?
Yeah, we're on the sidewalk.
Awesome.
Yes.
I have an art walk over here. That's cool. Is that new?
It's
Yeah, a couple of years now.
a few years, yeah. They've had them holidays, Halloween, and then one in May.
Open house in
Open
December,
house.
and the street fair in May.
Okay. All right. So this is all.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's always, you know, I'm
Yeah,
front.
I'll
And I send out an email, but I don't think I have your email. I mean, you can give it to me if you want, because I only use it like 4 times a year.
Yeah.
The email list, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll add myself
Good.
to the list.
So this Thursday we're going to start. What did I say? I'm going up there for 5:30. I'll be done. So 6:30 we'll start here.
6:30 you'll start outside?
Yeah, and go to like 8:30, something like that.
Awesome. And you're a regular, I assume?
Yeah.
When he's not globetrotting.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is,
Comes out
I
or-
don't know how much low trust I've got left.
That's a long way to go. Where were you?
And then we met a lot of people from Australia who have gone far further.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
they have about as
Australian
far as
dollar
you
is
can go.
strong. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, think how far they have to. That's like halfway around the world.
They're used to those long distances, so they drive.
A lot of them were over there too, and they were like, they were loving it, you know, because it's winter down there. So, they're like,
Yeah.
so it's like, oh, this heat's great. Like, you're kidding. 100
come around the other way?
Guess they could. I guess maybe that would
Oh,
be shorter,
that's gonna
wouldn't it?
say.
I guess so.
And that's
Maybe.
exactly
I'm not
'cause I
sure.
walk-
I think it's
Oh.
halfway around the
Because
world.
they
either way.
view it differently. When I was in Australia, we were at Bell's Beach, was international surfing, and he pointed and he said, "That's South Africa."
That's part of
Pointed that way, and he said, "That way is
Oh, when I
Antarctica."
sponged it, so it's gonna stay.
Yeah, and I said, "Oh, you guys have a totally different perspective on the world."
Really?
So they,
Oh well.
they see like Africa, you know, and Europe,
Well, it's
Yeah.
really good to see you.
because the
Right.
curvature.
Right. Yeah.
So they got to come to the States and go up and back down.
Yes, is that enough? Rose vibe? Yeah.
Yeah, so I can meet you. Good.
Thank you so
You're very
much.
welcome. You're welcome.
Awesome.
So I'd like to hear the songs.
Yes.
Something, you know.
Yeah. Right now, I'm
Send me an MP3 or something.
for sure. Yes, I can. I'm all on the experimental stuff, but
Yeah,
I do have
excellent.
some songs that I have that I can
Right.
send you.
You know, it's all experimental,
Yeah.
and every once in a while I get lucky.
Right, and then something else will happen.
Buddy, I loved your blues festival.
Bye.
Okay.
Kirby.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
it's a good reminder. On my Facebook page, you know, the blues festival that I did 3 weeks ago.
Awesome.
Yeah, playing with this guitar player named Bosco France, and he won the Guitar Center Blues Guitarist Championship a couple of years ago. So he's from Kentucky, and he can play, he can shred. So they called me at the last minute and said, "Can you come, you know, do this?" So Kathy shot it, and her video is really good.
It was great. It was really
And it's only like 30 minutes because we just did snippets.
But it's on your
Yeah,
Facebook page,
yeah,
so I can watch
yeah,
it.
yeah. Do you know my Facebook? It's Russell Buddy Hill. It's on the flyer.
I've got the flyer, and I've been meaning actually to give it to the people that I see on Sunday. Which
Okay, good.
I don't know if you'd ever. I
No.
think we talked
I
about it.
love
Would you ever be interested in
I
like?
love
Are you
to
trying
hear
to get
it.
put into the drum healing thing, or would you be interested in speaking about it?
Sure. Yep.
Okay, cool. Because I'll give that to them. I keep forgetting, but I'll give it to them.
Now let me give you a flyer. I'm going to write this fellow's name on here, so you can just go straight to YouTube.
Okay.
If you don't hit my Facebook.
Oh, thank you.
This is my friend Russell Buddy Hill. And
Pretty
then
much.
this
yeah.
guy is phenomenal.
Well, you were amazing, buddy. I thought you were great.
It's fun.
You guys were great. And what a great place, Julian. That's a cool
Oh, it's
place.
so
to-
much fun.
Haven't been
So-
there in years, but I love it. Yeah, it's really cool.
Bosco France.
Yeah.
I guess it's under band. Is that what I put it under? It's on YouTube.
All those old.
Oh yeah, it's
silver
at
mines,
Julie.
whatever, all that stuff. Yeah, and the lavender fields up there.
Yeah, this year.
Apples, they got lots of apples.
So,
Apple
yeah,
festival.
he's
Never Julian Apple
a
Festival.
good example of these basic, just narrow blues, but brilliant, but just that tradition. And he knew that tradition, and we met and we were able to walk
I
on
haven't been
stage and
there
play.
in years.
Never met the bass player before.
Yeah,
And
so-
it was a friend of his
Fort
from
Heather
Kentucky.
Came while we
They're both
did a
from
lot of
Kentucky.
stuff.
And man, when he played
I mean, we
slide
still- we did
and he
a lot.
nailed it. And I played with a lot of great slide players, but nobody
Still
comes
do.
up to Dwayne's technique and tone. But he did. He really was like round, even Derek, But this guy was really good. So it's like we're just encouraging him to do more.
Just hanging out.
But he has his wife and his family and everything in Kentucky, so he's not that eager to go out and burn it up on the road. But he's gifted. So it's like I'm trying to inspire him to do more.
She was up for a
Because everyone
couple
that's
weeks,
heard him
but
goes,
not-
this guy's incredible.
Right.
And he comes on stage barefooted in overalls, no pretense. I mean, that's his pretense.
Right.
But he's good. He's real. He's a very humble guy. He did his homework. And so I got to sit behind the kit
Lugging that suitcase
and
forward.
open up those grooves, on a full kit, these grooves, and I explained, the other drummers are coming up and said, what's, I said, the hand drum showed me where these grooves originally come from, the blues shuffles and all this stuff.
I drove a lot of
B.B. King grooves and all this stuff come from the djembe.
It all
She's right. It's just, does anyone come up and study with you? It's fine,
Yeah, I can see why though.
So that's a good example of how
We asked for a small car with a GPS.
these grooves that we did today.
Very cool. You're drumming this, so I can go.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can go-
I think they
That's
thought
awesome.
Yeah. It was trio. We just did a power trio.
So you guys does he will he record? So you guys record?
It's all. This is all news. You know, like this is the first recordings of us playing together. We just met. We walked on stage and did it.
Well, I mean, if he's
So I
that
didn't mind
talented, I mean,
it,
he
so,
should
you know,
record, right?
Oh yeah, he should. He's got one CD that he did himself,
Yeah.
and it's a live thing.
Could have used.
And he didn't know what he needed from the drums, from the rhythm section, because his drummer that he had was just pretty, you know,
But it was
clean and
a
sedate.
gimmick thing.
But he needs somebody that's on fire, because he's really, he's right out there like Eric Clapton. And he reminded me a lot of Cream, where he went Cream, yeah, where he would Cream, you know, with Jack Bruce and Ginger,
Maybe
yeah,
that's
yeah.
why they
Yeah,
did
so
it.
he could go there, you know, that tone and able to play, just never ran out of licks, you know, he was always fresh. And so it's like, I overplayed, you know, a lot. Not all good, but enough for him to, oh yeah, and always break it up.
Subway.
And that's your secret. You can listen to these basic patterns, but then where I put the kicks to imply horn sections, you know, imply another rhythm guitar and stuff through the little hi-hat hitter, cymbal hit, bass drum thing. And that inspired him. See, he was hearing that subliminally, but he could hear the B.B. King rhythm section and stuff. He opened for B.B. like just recently. So he one of his last shows. So he's just soaking it all up. So he was grateful. He couldn't stop talking on stage. It's not in the video, but he says, "I want you guys to know how grateful I am for Buddy to be playing drums with me." He was really cute. It was funny. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see it. Thank you for this.
Oh yeah.
Make sure to give this to them next time, or the other one.
Yeah. Good.
All right, thank you so
Okay.
much again. It's really good to see you.
Anytime.
I'll be back, but now I'm on your email list.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. That's this Thursday if you get around to it.
Awesome.
Good.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
see you around.
Sounded good.
Bye, Katie. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, but I thought you guys sounded great, man.
Isn't it amazing?
That was, yeah.
It was so much fun.
You guys, and you did a great job of using it and stuff.
Thank
Really
you.
cool.
I've never used that camera before. I
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
sure how long, the battery would last
Yeah.
or the card
Yeah,
would
really.
last. So I
Wow.
sort of
Wow.
took the beginning and ends of songs and thought, okay,
I'll
even
tell you.
change the battery and the card in the middle. I thought,
Yeah.
okay, I can get some more.
I was listening to it on the, on the computer, and Jim goes, "Damn, they're great. Who is that?" And I said, "That's Buddy." And he goes, "Damn, he's not just a drummer. He's great."